Let's look at the front of the fire tube boiler so we can review the inside burner components as they relate to the visible equipment found on the front of the boiler. You might want to have your copy of their photo lab assignment with you as you review in case you get confused about a topic. If you get confused, stop the podcast, find the item on your photo lab, and restart the podcast when you're clear on the equipment being discussed. I would also suggest that you read the Heater-Book's Fire Tube Boiler Burner Comparison document that you were issued before reviewing this podcast. So let's look at the important components. On the left side, we have the rotary vane air compressor. It has its own air intake with a strainer filter. There's a lubricating oil gauge glass that tells us there's lubricating oil for the compressor. A discharge pressure gauge from the compressor. This tells us when the compressor is running properly. And low atomizing air fuel safety cutoff switch. And this would tell the microprocessor or flame monitor if the compressor fails to operate. The next item is the oil burner. And we're going to supply for that oil burner compressed air from the compressor and diesel fuel under pressure, of course when we're burning oil. We have the rotary gear oil pump. It draws the fuel from the storage tank. There's a supply valve that must be open to allow us to draw this fuel. A discharge pressure gauge to let us know the pump is operating correctly. And the fuel safety shutoff oil solenoid valves. There's actually two solenoids on this line, and these valves shut while burning oil if an unsafe condition occurs. We find the ignition transformer. This is a step-up transformer. It steps up from a control voltage of 110 volts up to 6,000 volts. This is needed to provide sufficient voltage to jump the air gap at the end of the igniter to ignite the pilot gas flame. It operates similar to a spark plug in a car engine, but call it an igniter when on a boiler. We have the burner on-off switch, and I will refer to the switch later when talking about the operation of the oil pump and air compressor. If you fail to engage the drive, you need to shut this switch off, let the fan motor stop, and then attempt to make the switch over again in the motor to oil firing. The force draft fan motor itself, this drives the force draft fan, and within the end of the motor, the selector where you will manually select the drive to the rotary vane air compressor and rotary screw oil pump. We find the flame scanner that monitors both the pilot and main flame. And with the inspection door open, what do we see inside? Within the wind box area, we see a cavity that the combustion air is supplied to in the front of the boiler. There's a low combustion air pressure switch that monitors that the fan is operating and the combustion air is being safely supplied at all times. The switch is not located on the front of the boiler, but is located on the right-hand side of the boiler, and here you can see what it looks like. If we have selected the motor to burn oil, we look inside and we will see the pulley drives that drive the oil pump and air compressor. The belt to the left in our view drives the rotary gear oil pump, and to the right is the belt for the rotary vane air compressor. These belts must be manually engaged in the force draft fan motor to make them operational, and you will have practiced this in the lab. The easiest way to note that this drive system is activated is to monitor the pressure gauges on the front of the boiler. Occasionally on startup, the drive will not successfully engage, and as an operator, you must shut the burner switch selector off. Let the fan come to a complete stop and manually engage the drive again. It is also important on burner start when you're firing gas that you also watch these gauges to see the previous operator did not leave the fan selected oil burning. Should you attempt gas startup but find the pressures on these gauges, you need to stop the pre-purge by shutting the burner toggle switch to off and switch the fan back to gas operation. On the right hand side of the combustion area, you also see a trapezoidal shaped tank. This is the lube oil storage tank, the level of which is visible in the front sight glass. Looking at the burner, You can see the oil burner is located in the center of the burner, and a fan type arrangement is located around it. This fan arrangement is actually a fixed diffuser which imparts spin to the secondary combustion air as it exits the diffuser, and this spin promotes mixing of the fuel and the air to ensure complete combustion. You can also notice small holes in the outer ring around the outside of the diffuser. This is called a burner ring and is where the gas exits, is ignited, and is burnt in the main flame. On the left side of the burner is the pilot burner and igniter. Note that the primary air for the pilot is fed from the windbox area itself, fed into the mixing T, where it premixes with the incoming pilot gas before it travels to the pilot burner and is ignited. In a burner inspection, this primary air piping must not be restricted, as if the premixing air ratio is changed in some way, you might not be able to get the pilot to light. This area, the front of the boiler, the door open, is actually well isolated from the burner area itself, and these belts do not get overheated. This is just one of the concerns that many students have, and I want to put that urban myth to rest. So replay this podcast until you are familiar with what is in the inside the boiler front and how it relates to the visible equipment on the front when the inspection door is closed. Good luck in your future upcoming competency with this boiler, and bye for now.